Hello, and welcome to episode 197 of the Dedicated to DLP podcast. We are back after a small break, I think. Well, we started kind of delaying the episodes a little bit because, stuff happens. It's summer, we're busy, we get ill, all the kind of things that middle-aged people have. But, we're back and we've got some news and we've got some letters and it's going to be interesting. How are you, Beth? Beth is my co-host, by the way. She's right there.
I am pulling through. I had kind of a grim cold. It sounds like it's been doing a world tour, this virus. I've had friends in Germany, super sick for weeks, like our dear Vanessa. And it's been a bit rough, but now I'm back. I'm ready to enjoy my summer. How about you, Mark?
Just to make it clear, it's not Beth that has been passing this virus on to all of these people, because you have not been in touch with Vanessa, as far as I know. Exactly, you have not been in touch with Vanessa. Well, not physically. So no, it's not your fault. It's okay. It's just some other thing that's going around. Maybe it's the Euro 2024 fever. Not that I've caught it. But yeah, so that's one thing. I've been quite fine. I've just, it's just hot in Greece. And I think people have heard about that unfortunately, some people have gone hiking and have not returned. Please, people, do not go hiking when it's 40 degrees. It's not a good idea. How has weather been in Paris? I think it's been raining a lot. There have been some sunny days. And we've got the Olympic Games coming up there. Let's see how that goes. But in the meantime, I think things have been happening at DLP as well. So since we have quite a large trip report coming up from Jen, I think we should get into the news of what has been happening. It's going to take up quite a bit of the episode. And as you can tell, we are completely unscripted today. It's just we're just going to read you these letters, but as you can see, there's no strange, banter or weird jokes that have been meticulously crafted so that the punchline would land at a certain time. No, none of that today. We're completely au naturel. And you can let us know if you like that or not. And if you don't, we'll just go back to the heavily scripted. But unfortunately, the AI servers were down, so we couldn't get a script written for us.
Well, yeah, at least it'll be a vacation for our listeners from our never-ending series of bad puns that we always seem to end up writing in place of probably actual jokes. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's see if we can come up with some actual jokes. Anything you want to say before we enter the news part?
Well, I can segue us easily into news because it was the Fête de la Musique last weekend. Lots of cities, even all across Europe, were celebrating music. Mm-hmm. I personally was singing at the Fête de la Musique in Geneva, Switzerland. I was on stage with my group. Amazing. At the Music Conservatory. Oh, here comes the cat again. I thought we talked about this, Emiko.
Save the porg. Right. Save the porg.
Oh, yes. She's back. There. You can see her tail.
For people watching on YouTube, yes.
But Disneyland Paris also celebrated La Fête de la Musique by releasing some new music. Did you give it a listen when it came out?
I did. Well, you're going into the news, so I'm going to just play this one here so that we have, people know which sections we're doing. That's the news.
I love that.
The news tune. Because you have to have a bit of continuity, even if you're not scripting, you have to have something.
All right.
So, as we said, first up, the actual Music Day, Fête de la Musique, not just incorporating Beth's wonderful choir performing in Geneva, not only incorporating a concert that I visited with my daughter of Coldplay here in Athens, They did 2 dates in the big Olympic Stadium in Athens. So if any of you were a little bit confused when I posted something Coldplay related on our Instagram feed, that was the reason why. And I noticed my mistake because it was supposed to go to my own private Instagram account, and it ended up on dedicated to DLP. But I thought I'd leave it there for one reason, namely that it looked wonderful and it sounded very nice. They had all these bands with the lights on that they can control so that the lights turn green or orange or red or blue, whatever, during certain parts of the song. And we discussed this recently. I think that you could use that as magic bands in Disneyland Paris, because they had something with the ears at some point. Remember that? They had been handing out ears with LED lights in them that were connected to this similar kind of system so that everybody's ears would light up at the same time around the castle during the nighttime show. That never came back.
That wasn't that long ago. Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago, but I haven't seen them since. No. And people love those. So that's one reason why I left that up. And the other reason is because that was actually the recording for a music video for Coldplay's new single called Feels Like I'm Falling in Love. And they decided to film that on after the 2 dates, the concerts that they did. And they put up an Instagram post saying, "Dear fans in Athens, we are recording our music video today. If you want to come along, you're all invited." So I said to my daughter, "You want to do it? Shall we go?" And she said, "Sure." So I said, "Okay, just be prepared. It's going to be many hours waiting, standing in line. We had to hand in our phones." And it turned out to be in the ancient Herod Atticus Theatre in Athens. And they had rented this whole place out with the permission of the Antiquities Efforate of Athens, because, if you play somewhere, do something, anything in a ancient theater or archaeological site, you have to get permission from the government. And it was quite magical. So they shot this music video for this one song. And as it turned out, we were in the second row. So it's quite possible that we're actually going to be in this music video. So when it comes out, I will let you know. The song has come out, but the music video, not yet. But it's a beautiful song, and it could easily fit into a Disney movie or even a Pixar movie. Let's put it that way. So I'm kind of linking it that way. Anyway, past that, Disneyland Paris did indeed release a song for the Fête de la Musique. I have a clip. If you want, do you want to hear a little clip of it?
I think since this is an oral format, we should definitely share a little bit of it with our listeners.
Yes, hold on. So here it comes. And that's enough of that. Yes, so you get the idea. It's a little bit of a oh, and it continues like that. Yeah. And then there's some lyrics that sound like it's just basically a Disneyland Paris promo of things that you can do at Disneyland Paris. Like you can ride Big Thunder Mountain, you can meet the princess of your dream, singular. You can, all these kind of things. And I implore you to go to YouTube and you can listen to it there, because basically it's just this. You get the idea.
Yeah, I think that was a deliberate choice to cater to their international audience that might have trouble with French or English. Everybody speaks oh.
Oh, you mean this?
Just sing along. Oh. See? Works for everybody.
There. That's simple. It's easy. You can just follow along with that. I wonder how long it took them to write that. But yes, check out that song if you like on YouTube. I don't know if it's going to make any other appearances at Disneyland Paris during parades or whatever. But there you go, a new song from Disneyland Paris to add to your collection.
I guess I don't think it's their best work. It's perfectly fine. Generic Disney magic in a world of fantasy.
You add magic to
no
that.
monde qui s'illumine. Yeah.
Now, A Monde qui s'illumine and Ready for the Ride were big hits, and I think they were trying to replicate that. And it's not for everyone.
Not everything can be a hit,
No, but I'm the thing is that a lot of it is in English, obviously. There's the main title is I have to read it now. Nos histoires prennent vie, which roughly translated means our stories take life.
Yeah.
No, there is an official.
Stories come to life. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you listen to it, it's kind of strange because they say they kind of, the no is very silent, so it just sounds like histoire prenne vie. Now you see, celebrate a world of fantasy. In the actual title, I'm not going to play any more of it, so you can listen to it on YouTube. But we're not going to dissect this. There's a song. We've told you about it. Next piece of news.
There's a song, and there's also crime. Are you guys ready for this?
Only crimes in the park.
Exactly. I know a lot of our listeners are into true crime, and I have one for everybody. For people not,
I thought you were going to say. I thought you would connect it to the song. That the song is a crime. No.
Well, it is a sin against God and man, but I don't think they're going to be fined for it.
God and man, no restrictions. Okay, continue.
So for people that are not deep into the weeds of the Disneyland Paris news cycle like we are,
or are not that much into weed, yes.
Moving right along. Here's a headline for you.
Yeah.
Disneyland Paris fined 400,000 euros for misleading ticketing practices. The park's anytime all access passes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get to the meat of this for people.
You missed out the important part in relation to.
Well, yes, the annual passes, which have been a sore subject for such a long time. If people remember back in 2022, there were people protesting the fact that they had these so-called infinity passes or whatever, and they weren't able to access the parks very much.
Yeah.
After the COVID went away, entre guillemets, somehow we still were sitting there with these reservations that we have to get into the park, which have never gone away. And this suit had argued that the park's anytime all access passes had restrictions not made clear to holders. And so a French government fraud watchdog found Euro Disney guilty of misleading commercial practices. They were restricting access for its annual pass holders according to quotas that were not revealed to the public, which we were all suspecting, but it was never spoken of officially. So this was not revealed to the public nor to the pass holders or otherwise indicated in the terms and conditions.
Yes.
So this is a consumer rights group here in France, and they announced on June 24th that the Disneyland Paris communications team were guilty and slapped them with a criminal fine.
It's not just a consumer ombudsman, it's the governmental...
The official
fraud.
Government
Yes,
one, absolutely. Yes. It's the Direction de la Protection des Populations. Mm-hmm. And so inappropriate communication was revealed, some internal communication that was the smoking gun, that there were quotas in place keeping pass holders out of the parks. There was hard evidence of this. Now, this investigation came about because of actually a very popular French consumer magazine doing an enquête into the whole thing. It's called 60 millions de consommateurs.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty well-known magazine here in France. And they claimed the park's Infinity, Magic Plus, and Magic Flex passes had more restrictive conditions than advertised. Because remember, like Infinity, 365 days a year, and like on down the line, 350 days and 300 days a year.
Yeah.
Price range.
Just explain the concept for anybody who has not had an annual pass. The concept of an annual pass is you get unrestricted access to the parks. Correct?
Exactly. And so if I have paid for an Infinity Pass, I've paid the top dollar. At the time, it felt like a top dollar, nearly 500 euros. And you would expect to be able to get into the parks every day of the year, ideally, if you had enough free time.
Pre-pandemic, somehow, this is what was the case, right? You were able to just...
You could just show up. Absolutely. And it was wonderful. I thought it was great value for the money. Even as the price of those passes kept going up, I kept buying it because I was able to get good mileage out of it.
Even if you're not going every single day? It's still
even if you're not going every single day.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You could just say, oh, I'm going to go spend a week up around there and I'll pop in and out of the parks, maybe on 6 of those days, maybe one time just to see the nighttime show, in and out, easy peasy, taking advantage of it. And
so
then
explain to us what happened post-pandemic.
Okay. So post-pandemic, what we found was that you need to make a park reservation on the online platform. And you can only hold 3 days of reservations. So, for example, if you were planning to go for 4 days, you could not reserve those 4 days. You could only reserve maybe, if you were lucky, the first 3 days, and then hope as those days passed by that you could jump in and get reservations for the rest of their stay. But this would be very optimistic thinking in the summertime.
Their reasoning for this was because there were quotas, there were basically limits to the amount of people that they were letting back into the park, correct?
Well, even worse was that the quotas were divided between annual pass holders and normal park guests.
Tickets.
And this was not revealed to the public. Exactly. And so there were only a very limited amount of spaces left for the annual pass holders, something that we all suspected when we would get on this platform, and there would be absolutely nothing left for us on the days we wanted to travel. So you could very easily be an annual pass holder wanting to plan a very big trip and maybe stay, more than 3 days. And not only could you not reserve all the days and guarantee your access to the parks, there might be absolutely nothing available for you because those places were being held for normal ticket holders.
Yes.
And this was not revealed even in the tiny writing of the terms and conditions.
So it was a communication issue that they didn't properly communicate these terms and the changes that they made so that pass holders could properly plan or know what their rights were, so to say. Am I correct there?
Exactly. I sort of think this lapse in communication was a bit on purpose. I felt like they didn't feel they need to be transparent because they know nobody would like it. Even people were already suspecting this, that some secret quotas were taking value away from the ownership of an annual pass, but nobody had the hard evidence of it until now.
Exactly. People were not happy anyway because they were realizing they were being left out. They were not being able to get into the parks when they wanted to. And initially, after the pandemic, people were kind of, yes, okay, we understand that they have to rebuild the access and the capacity. And so we will, as pass holders, do our thing to facilitate that because we're just happy that the parks are open. But this continued and continued and continued, and people were getting really frustrated by the fact that they still had to do reservations, and they had to have just 3 days. And
Right.
yes, exactly. So this commission, or this you're saying that this came to light through a magazine, consumer magazine, that did a research into this, basically.
Exactly. And then this alerted the French government that something was up, and they took it very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 400,000 euros, I mean, I do think it's a bit of a slap on the hand when we think of the money that people wasted buying something that they were not fully informed about, thinking you're getting one thing and getting something not as good in its place.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure the punishment fits the crime,
I'm just
but
doing
at
a
least
quick
they can
calculation here. So 400,000 divided by an infinity pass, 0.8. I can't use the calculator.
This is what our podcast is for, doing math.
Well, in any case, yes. So it's just under 1,000 infinity passes. I'm really bad at that. So yes, it's peanuts, basically, for DLP.
Absolutely.
But it's quite significant.
I do think it is meaningful. And
do you think any changes are going to come from this?
Well, you know, I think the changes have already come with that new pass system that they came up with. I think they're much more careful about it now. And there is a disclaimer of subject to availability, blah, blah, blah. And the quota is a general park quota maintenant. I can speak one language at a time. Now, it is.
We have an international listenership, so it's okay.
It's a total quota. It's not divided anymore between pass holders and regular ticket holders. So it is safe to go back in the water if an annual pass, gold, silver, or bronze, is calling your name. It is what it is. I still am not okay with this having to have only 3 days maximum of reservations. You know, we see people coming from not only the UK, but even all the way from the United States, from Australia. I cannot imagine, if you're a big Disney family, trying to plan your trip, and you've come so far, and, you know, if you have maybe family that's pass holders, or, you know, there's some people that are pass holders in all the parks, and you can't really use your pass the way you want to.
Yes.
I think that's really rough.
Yeah. I was just looking up something. This appeared on their Instagram, the annual pass holders. It's for the listeners, I will say it's Disneyland Pass Annual Pass, 13 of September 2024. Stay tuned. So there's going to be some kind of announcement, and I just read the caption that came with it. It just says, "Something's coming. Keep your eyes peeled next week on our account." I have no idea what this could be, but a lot of the comments are saying, "Oh, great, you're bringing back the old passes." But I don't think that's going to be the case.
No.
But obviously they're in some kind of crisis management mode now. And they want to appease annual pass holders, because it's just basically been proven that they are into criminal activity. And that's why you mentioned true crime at DLP.
Exactly. Well, we have to add some drama, right? But still, I do think this is pretty serious, because I felt like a lot of us do have like an emotional attachment to the Disney brand, and it feels particularly like being stabbed in the back once there's like proof of their wrongdoing.
Exactly. Why are we promoting criminal activity for free?
Wow. Are we like accessories to crime, Mark? Are we going to go to the big house?
As yet, we have not been fined.
So far.
We have not been accused of aiding and abetting. No, but we've been here. We've been, if anybody from the fraud department in France is listening, we have highlighted these issues frequently, the AP issues. So yes, I think
We have done.
it's going to be interesting to see what developments there are. Any other news to mention?
Let's see. Okay, this summer at the Hyperion Cafe, they are going to try, those ordering kiosks like we see a lot in France
McDonald's.
at McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Yeah. And so I think they're going to install 5 kiosks, double-sided, so there'll be 10 stations.
It's like touch screens.
And you'll be able, little touch screens, and you'll be able to pay with, I think, MasterCard, Visa, American Express.
No cash.
For the moment. No cash. And yeah, this is just like a little proof of concept they're doing. They're going to see if this speeds things up or if it makes it worse. There will be cast members on hand to help people feeling a bit lost in the endless scrolly menus.
Endless?
I don't know. What do you think?
Have you seen their menus?
I think it could be good.
Yes, well, we've been to McDonald's and so on in France, and we've tried to order. And first you have to find a touch screen that isn't broken, or the operating system is shut down for some reason or is stuck. But yes, they're trying to find different ways of speeding up the way you can get food at the parks, because this is you queue up, you have to wait for your food. And people just want to be able to order something, come back and pick it up, or even just go to a restaurant. I think that's just sit down while you get served if you can find a place. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to get a quick snack, or do you want to sit down and have your meal?
I like to do at least one really nice sit-down meal on each visit, at least one. But usually I'm on the go trying to get videos, trying to get photos. Exactly. And I have enjoyed the mobile ordering when that has been available for different restaurants. Yeah. So I'm a fan of options, and I just hope that we can see also that food becomes not only easier to get, but maybe will improve in quality.
Yes.
Now, speaking of food, there has been activity over at Victoria's. Has there not?
Homestyle restaurant.
Exactly. Some new menu items. First of all.
Sweet ones, mainly.
Okay. Fancy custom coffees. Now, looking at the picture of this, it looks more like a dessert. There is so much whipped cream and sauce on the top of it.
Exactly.
But anyway, you can get these coffees. You can choose if you want like, what is it? There's a vanilla syrup, a caramel syrup, a popcorn syrup, or speculoos sauce.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. And yeah, and you can tell them what you want. Cold brewed coffee. It sort of looks like a milkshake. I'm not mad at it. Let's see. How much is this baby? €8. So it looks like kind of a big event for €8. I've gotten less for my money for €8 at Disneyland Paris. Moving down this new and improved menu, we have their milkshake gourmand. So you can get that.
Those are the ones with the donuts on top.
Yeah, with the big Mickey head on top of it. Stop. But here's the showstopper, the milkshake Donald Exquise. In English, Donald's Marvelous Milkshake. A vanilla-flavored ice cream with mango puree. And then on top of it, okay, in the picture, the glazed donut looks really nice. It looks like clear glaze below, blue glaze, and then some little duck feet and some whipped cream.
In the picture.
In person, in the promotional picture, in real life, we've seen some pictures of this, and these people are glaze impaired. Do they not realize people eat with their eyes as well? I mean, and if you're going to give people something with blue frosting on top, which is a bit sketchy in my opinion, it needs to be meticulous. It needs to not look approximative. Otherwise, it looks like you've like melted some crayons, or I don't know. It looks really unappetizing. So I don't know. I would probably go for the milkshake. No, Minnie's Marvelous Milkshake. We'll stick to the English, which has raspberry in it, and then a cute raspberry cupcake on top. And there's a little mini bow, little red and white dots. Maybe Mark will throw in some pictures of this stuff for the YouTube people.
I might. Sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, because the raspberry one looks pretty good. I don't know. For 14 euros, I would just expect my blue donut to be perfect, because I think that's a lot of money for a milkshake. Now,
personally speaking,
I'm from Nebraska, but yeah.
Well, what's wrong with, because of donuts?
Donuts and milkshakes. I don't know. Nobody would pay 14 euros for that combination of badly done
exactly.
items.
And that's just what I was going to say. As somebody who is pre-diabetic, as my
okay,
my most recent tests showed, there's a lot of sugar in this. Because I'm okay with a bit of milkshake, and a donut on top of that with icing and all of that stuff. I wish there were some healthier options that you could, maybe put something less sugary on top of that. Thinking of fruit, for example. I like a nice fruit smoothie. I'm not sure you can get a fruit smoothie anywhere in the parks. You can get Minute Maid, but that's not really fresh fruit, is it? I just think it's getting very, very sugary. And to top that all off, they have a new 15 euro cake that you're supposed to share with somebody, and it is basically a palette, a painter's palette with 2 tubes of paint. And I'm assuming this is to go with the Million Splashes of Color theme, but I'm not sure that I want my cake paint themed. I don't know how you feel about it. It looks cute, but the idea of eating paint.
It looks, yeah. So for only €1 more than the milkshake, you can get this cake to share. I have heard that it is tasty from friends online. I feel like the theming would be better at home in Tokyo Disneyland, maybe gelatoni themed, their little cat painter, and the Japanese would make it look really nice and appetizing. This picture that I have here is really a best case scenario. In real life, it never looks this good. It's a little bit freaky. On the other hand, it is, dare I say it, kind of a value in the world of snacking at Disneyland Paris, because, it's not a fake sharing size. People have said, oh, it's fine. We shared it, the 3 of us, and it was really plenty of sugar.
Again,
and it got us through. So, I mean, that's a value if you can share it between 3 friends.
But you're right. I mean, it's
one
the
of you get one of those fancy coffees.
Victoria's Homestyle Restaurant. I don't think the theming really works there. Just because it's next to the Parade of a Million Splashes of Color, that ties in. But yeah, somewhere like near animation studios or something like that, where design and illustration is the theme. I don't know.
That would make so much more sense to me.
Yes, but okay, we're not the ones deciding this. Yes, I have no doubt that it tastes absolutely wonderful, because the patisserie team at Disneyland Paris has been known to create amazing things. It's just that sometimes the theming decisions are a bit odd. But okay, we are just observers here. We have no influence on that whatsoever, apart from just telling you about it. There you go. If you feel like trying it, have a go.
Write in. Give us a review.
I'm just going to check if there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Right here, I'm just looking at the news feed. Ah, yes. Mickey, Euro Disney Cup for Beth. That's very nice.
Sharing with everybody.
I used a Euro Disney oven mitt this weekend because it's
vintage.
Vintage, yes. In my wife's family's house, they went to Euro Disney and they're still using the oven mitt with Mickey and Minnie on it. I'm sure I could sell it for loads of money online, but no. No, the thing that I wanted to talk about, Beth, how do you feel about character birthdays?
I always think it's a good excuse to shine the spotlight on a special character.
Yes.
Where is this going?
That's fine. Right. I have no problem with shining a light on characters. But characters are fictional. They do not get born. Do not create a birthday for a character because they are conceived only in the mind and the pen of an illustrator. So sure, make a Donald Duck Day, but don't pretend that it's a birthday. That's my issue. Stop making character birthdays a thing. That's what I'm trying to say. We keep seeing this from Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck. And yes, it's a reason to, highlight one very favorable and beloved character. But please, celebrate Walt Disney's birthday. It seems like you're trying to phase out Walt Disney, or renaming Walt Disney Studios into Disney Adventure World and stuff like that. Celebrate people who have been important in the development of the parks and something like that. But if you want a day like they have done recently now, apparently June 26th, which is today when we're recording, it is Stitch Day.
Okay.
I don't know when that first started being a thing, but it's Stitch Day today. But at least they're not calling it Stitch's birthday, which I'm fine with that. And you can get a bracelet.
Pandora,
with Stitch,
right?
A Pandora bracelet, yes. A charm that will be released today for €79. Again, you're using a day to highlight a character to sell products. I'm absolutely fine with that. Just don't try and celebrate like it's a birthday and bring out a cake and everything because they were not born. I'm sorry, that's my rant.
Oh my gosh, Mark. I don't know. You sound a little bit like the old guy. Those kids, get off my lawn. I would prefer celebrating real people, Walt Disney, the great Imagineers like Mary Blair, people like that.
Exactly. There are people behind these things that never get credit, usually. Obviously, Walt Disney has his name splashed all over the place.
That's for nerds like us, Mark. I mean, I think little kids going to the park love going there, and if they show up and somebody gives Donald Duck a birthday cake, I mean, I think it's cute. What are we
telling our kids though? That yes, this porg, for example.
Where's my porg? Yes. Now we're getting personal.
The porg's birthday. This porg never gets old. What are we trying to tell to the kids? That Donald Duck stays the same. He's 100 years old. He lives forever.
I think if you celebrate
life and the world.
celebrate the first appearance of the character in some kind of media, whether they show up in another character's film or
rename it. Don't name it a birthday. Name it
just like an anniversary. The thing is, like if you say the anniversary of the first appearance of Donald Duck, that is so not catchy.
Okay.
Whereas everybody singing "Happy Birthday, Donald" is something people can get behind, right, Porg? Dorgy Porg.
That's my expression. The porgs. If you've ever seen listeners, if you've ever seen a porg, you know what they look like. So that's what we have to have as the thumbnail for the YouTube video now.
Exactly. Grumpy Porg.
That's my rant, and I think that's the news, isn't it?
I think that's about all the news everybody can handle today, Mark.
Okay,
let's move right along.
Easy listening for the easy listeners.
Porg and I are just vibing over here, really enjoying it. And that way I'm keeping him safe from the cat. While we get to our listener news today, we have a couple of great letters to share with people. I am going to kick this off by giving us some continuity from last week because we have a bit of news back from Ulrich. People may remember Ulrich wrote in with a lovely letter. Ulrich was looking for a park pal, another fellow Disney fan that might want to just have a quick meetup to enjoy a little bit of life in the theme park there when he goes on his own. Now, we read out a very lovely letter from him last week, and we had people saying they loved it and they thought it was really nice, but nobody going for the time that Ulrich is going to be in the parks. So we are still holding out for a park pal for Ulrich. In the meantime, we do have a little letter back from him, which I will read.
Okay.
Dear Beth, Mark, and Vanessa, just listened to the new podcast On a Long Walk and wanted to thank you very much for dedicating so much time to my letter. Thank you. I'm curious what comes to be as a result of it. While writing how I spend my time at the park, I realized it's not that easy to describe something you've done so many times and not really thought about, but simply enjoyed the time. That's true. That can be hard to really characterize the time you spend in the park. Yeah. I thought he did quite a good job. Now this gets personal here. Dear Beth, I'm sorry for not mentioning Fort Comstock. Of course, I also visit it from time to time. And I also would buy a book about it. It would not have to be 800 pages long. So thank you for that. That's very encouraging. And maybe a shorter length would be more doable for me. Speaking of books, I guess you already know this, but a fellow DLP fan, Main Story, has dedicated years of his life to create a book about Main Street, which recently was released. And if you don't know it yet, I highly recommend it. There's also a slightly shortened audiobook version of it available. So maybe we can shout that out in the show notes.
Yes.
And we have best wishes from Ulrich. Yay. Thank you, Ulrich.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have not heard about this Main Street book or the audio book, but I will definitely look into it. There is a link that I will put in the show notes for anybody who's interested in it. And I just wanted to say that I now realize what the purpose of this podcast is. All these 197 episodes have basically been leading up. They're basically commercial, a long-winded commercial for that Fort Comstock book, which will at some point come out.
Oh, yeah, I'm playing the long game here.
The long game, exactly.
Yeah, very long game.
But yes, thank you, Ulrich. And again, we hope that we can make Park Pals work at some point.
Fingers crossed. Now, you teased a really good letter, so why don't you give us the next one?
Exactly. Jen Jen from, I think it is Ireland, has been in touch with us and has sent this trip report. So I'm going to start reading this, and we're going to divide it up because it is quite a long one. So at some point I will hand it over to you again when I need to take another sip of tea.
Okay.
Hello, D2DLP team. Hope you're all doing well. I'm finally sharing my trip report from DLP visit in March, from her trip in March. I'm sorry it took me so long to share it. Rather than to do a play-by-play of what we did, as it was so long ago, I thought it might be more useful to share some thoughts. I traveled with my sister, who is my number one DLP partner, and we traveled from the 17th to the 20th of March. This was our first time staying at Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel. We booked it a year in advance, and it was the same price as the Sequoia Lodge where we usually stay. That's a great deal. It's a very cool, slick hotel and felt big, bright, and airy. The Iron Man suit in the lobby are the Iron Man suits in the lobby, because there's multiple, are cool, and the theming and art throughout the hotel is really impressive. The rooms are a good size with good amenities. Yes, Beth can attest to that.
Agree.
But I felt it was lacking in personality and that the staff weren't that helpful / friendly. Sequoia Lodge has lots of charm, agree there, and feels really friendly. I felt this atmosphere was lacking in the Hotel New York. Well, I can say that, basically Hotel New York started out as kind of a conference hotel, so they were trying to go a bit more for the corporate vibe as opposed to the family vibe that you find in Sequoia Lodge and Newport Bay, even though Newport Bay also has a conference center there. But I think that's where it kind of kept the more sleek, minimalist style. But of course, it's an acquired taste, and once it became Hotel the Art of Marvel, that theming took over. So, but I don't know what your experience was with the staff. So let's continue reading. For example, I couldn't book the heroic encounter on the app, and when I asked the concierge, the first thing that they said was use the app. I explained the app wasn't working, and they shrugged their shoulders and told me to go down to the heroic encounter and book it there. When I got down to the heroic encounter, I asked about booking an encounter, and they said, use the app. I explained that the app wasn't working, and the staff member said, oh, yes, the app can be quite glitchy. We'll book you in manually. There you go. It's that easy. The heroic encounter was pretty good, and we got some great photos, so would definitely recommend people do that if they're staying there. So if you've got any problems with the app, just go down there and say, yeah, it's not working. The Skyline Bar was nice, and the cast member who greeted us there was by far the best we encountered in Hotel New York. She told us that we were no longer in DLP, but in New York, and to keep an eye out for Avengers who zoom in very quickly. She asked us who our favorite Avenger was, and when my sister said Thor, the cast member squeezed her bicep and said, and you're so muscly too. That sounds a bit creepy.
Okay.
Which gave us a great laugh.
Wow.
I'm sure it was done in a much less creepy way than I'm saying it out now.
Let us all hope.
Which gave us a great laugh. I'm glad we did the Skyline Bar, but it's not one I'd rush back to. In the afternoon, we'd go back to the hotel for a rest, and we were able to sit outside and have a drink in Bleecker Street, which was quite nice. Again, the staff there were a bit funny and insisted we pay for each drink there and then rather than let us set up a tab. Maybe they thought we would run away without paying. I'm sure they've had some experience with that. I was also disappointed to find out while exploring the hotel that the pool was going to be closed during our stay. No! When I stayed in Sequoia Lodge before, I got at least 2 emails reminding me that the pool would be closed. On the plus side, it was nice to be slightly close to the parks. Those 5 minutes make a big difference, especially in the evenings. The best thing about Hotel New York was being able to get your Magic Pass on your phone. Aha! And we could check in online 7 days before we arrived. When we arrived from the airport, we were met by a bellboy straight away who took our bags so we could go straight into the parks. you still have to go through hotel security, obviously. This was a great time saver, and it was exciting to see my Magic Pass on my phone in the run-up to the holiday. It was cool to be able to open your room door with your phone too. Congratulations, that worked. But we got physical keys too, just in case. It was good to experience a new hotel, but I'm not sure I'd go back. Why not? Anyway.
Well, I mean, it looks like their experience was quite hit and miss. I have to agree, overall, I'm a fan, but I did run into a couple of cast members there that looked like they were just wished to end their days. They were just really over it. All the Disney magic had drained out of their bodies. I ran into a couple. But then the person manning I don't know, maybe they're just ready for a career change or something. Because I did meet plenty of great ones. Our waiter at Skyline was super great. And the person running the Heroic Encounter, where you can go and get signed in manually if the app glitches. Super nice people there each time I went, because I end up going a couple times. I would definitely not sleep on that experience. I think it comes down to how big of a Marvel fan you are, probably. Because if you are a Marvel fan and you're getting a lot out of the decor and the special experiences, then running into the occasional not great cast member, I mean, you're going to find that everywhere. It's just a matter of luck, isn't it?
Do you know if cast members are pulled from different sources? Well, obviously they're pulled from different sources, but are all hotel employees Disney cast members, or do people working in the bars not count as such, or do they come from a different company? I know that the cleaning staff are third party.
That is outsourced.
They are outsourced, but everybody else is Disney cast member?
I believe like bartenders and waiters, those people are considered Disney cast members.
Yeah.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that has been the impression I've always had when talking to them, because they'll talk about when they worked at other Disney restaurants. And yeah, our server at the Manhattan restaurant was just delightful. And she had been transferred to that restaurant and was having the time of her life, fully in character.
Well, yes, I mean, it just it's a draw basically, and it depends on who your cast member is that particular day, that particular time of day, and I'm sorry to hear that not everything is across the board at the same standards, but I can understand that some people are not as motivated as others.
If you run into a couple of those cast members, like pretty much back to back, it can really sort of sour the experience.
Yes.
Although at least they can be feeling cheerful. Jen can, that she paid such a good price for her stay. That is amazing.
Exactly.
So at least she wasn't paying the silly top dollar prices. She got to have the experience for like a doable price. And now she knows it's not really for her. So
no, absolutely. If you have the chance, if you see that the same price, like this Sequoia Lodge is the same price of Art of Marvel, even though I'm a huge Sequoia Lodge fan, I know that Art of Marvel is the newer hotel now since its refurbishment. Yeah. So I would definitely go for Art of Marvel in that case, because the rooms are their amenities are more fresh, and even though I might not, because I've talked about this, I'm not sure that I would want the Hulk above my bed. That just gives me nightmares.
Fair enough.
But those are things that can be ignored, you see, as opposed to the occasional room. We have talked about this. The occasional room in Disneyland, Sequoia Lodge, Disneyland Paris, it can be musty, but that just depends on which out lodge that is.
Once again, yeah, luck of the draw.
Moving on. Would you like
Shall we
to take
continue
the
on?
next? Yeah.
I will do. Okay. As the weather was good during our visit, we finally did the Panoramagique, which was something we'd always wanted to do. It was 20 euros for about 10 minutes, but gave great views over the park.
That's the big
Disney
balloon
Village.
on Disney Lake. Yeah.
Yeah. Park, Disney Village, and we got a good look at the construction work that is going on. I would recommend it. I loved Together, a Pixar musical, and would highly recommend this. I heard it was good to sit in the middle rather to the sides, so you can see straight onto the stage. We arrived only about 10 minutes before the show started, and we got in and got fine seats up in the back. My sister had never been to Fort Comstock, so I brought her there. She thought it was really cool, but it probably wasn't the best idea to do this right after buying champagne on Main Street. Navigating all those stairs could be tricky if your head's feeling a little light. True. Safety first, everybody.
Fort Comstock champagne problems.
I'm glad I saw the Electrical Sky Parade. It was the first time my sister saw the drones, and she thought they were brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Avengers Power the Night, followed by Delight, were better shows. Okay. Big Thunder Mountain's our favorite ride, and we did it about 6 times during our 4-day trip. We managed to get on it one night just as the Electrical Sky Parade was starting, and we got to see all the drones while on the ride. As the ride was finishing and we were pulling back to the station, the train of drones was in the sky, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
We also got to do Pirates of the Caribbean just as the park was closing, and we're the only 2 people on the whole boat. As a result, the boat went really fast, and I got absolutely soaked by a cannonball. I really regret not buying that photo, as we'll probably never get one where we are the only people on the boat.
So I'm assuming you did not have Photo Pass, and because then they're still available online, correct?
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
Photo Pass, so even if you didn't get the printout at the end of the ride, you can still download them. But I guess that was not the case. But yes, nice. I will continue with another section which she wrote, other tips and thoughts. We tried the turkey legs and the churros in Frontierland together, and they were both quite nice. We ate in the Rainforest Cafe, which this is in Disney Village, which we love, and another night we ate in the Royal Pub. I was surprised at how nice the food was there, and how quick the service was, as it's a huge place. For the first time in a few years, we didn't get breakfast in the hotel, as we wanted to make the most of our magic hour and not be full going on the rides. Every day, we ended up in the Market Deli Bar at 10:30 a.m., and we had either a croque monsieur or Mickey sandwiches for breakfast, which were nice and good value compared to the hotel buffets. We got to sit outside and eat, which was lovely too. I'd definitely do that again. A Million Splashes of Color is a good parade, and we got to see the full version several times. Well, if you're sitting at Market Deli, of course. We were very lucky with our weather. It was raining when we arrived, so we got our ponchos on straight away. But after that, the weather was quite nice, and we were in T-shirts on our last day. But always bring a poncho. We got a private transfer from the airport to the hotel, and this was a huge time saver. It was 40 euros each, which is 15 euros more than the Disney shuttle. But I think we saved at least 45 minutes, which got us into the parks much quicker. We got the Disney shuttle back to the airport, as we weren't in as much of a rush then. I think this is a good way to do it. I agree with that, but I can also definitely recommend one of those private vans, taxi vans, when you're leaving late at night, because then you avoid having to get onto the RER at night and then arriving in Paris late at night and then having to get onto another metro or whatever. We've done that after a day at Disney, and I'm very thankful for that, because you've been walking around all the time. But of course, yes, if you're just going back to the airport, then Disney shuttle bus is absolutely fine. And of course, the TGV, which goes directly to, if you're flying from Charles de Gaulle, Marne-la-Vallée, Charles de Gaulle, 15 minutes, Bob's your uncle.
Absolutely. If that lines up with your schedule, that is a great way to do it. I will wrap this up then. We had a really fantastic trip. I loved every minute of it. I won't be back in DLP until May next year. I'm hopeful by that stage that a lot of the Studio One construction work will be complete and Frozen Land might possibly be open.
Mm-hmm.
Keep up the great work on the podcast, and thank you for all you do for the DLP fan community. Best, Jen.
We're not saying that Jen has any inside information about when Frozen Land is going to open. This is just a wish that hopefully in May next year.
Yes.
But we don't know. Okay, so she mentioned seeing the construction works going on from Panoramagique, the balloon, which is opposite Earl of Sandwich. You can take a ride and go up in that and see all over the parks. And the fact is that they are progressing quite quickly. And the most recent update is that the spire on top of the Arendelle Castle is in place. And so now they're putting scaffolding around it to do the finishing touches. So things are progressing quite quickly now. What I don't know is how much progression will take place during the summer months, because Olympic Games are going on. But then again, one would think all the construction at the Olympic facilities have finished, so they should have enough workers to do whatever goes on during the summer. Or maybe there are some kind of like temperature issues. Anyway, people are expecting something to open next year. We don't know when, but hold that thought. D23 is coming in August. Hopefully, we'll have some more information.
Yeah, hope so too. Well, thank you so much to Ulrich for writing into us, and to Jen for this great trip report.
Thank you very much.
Gosh, it makes me want to get back in the parks like now. She has some really good hints. I love that Market Deli Bar hint, because that is a place not to sleep on. I know that's a go-to for Vanessa, her favorite spot for sitting and people watching.
Exactly.
A mid-morning break there can
raining,
really just boost those energy levels. And you have such a clear shot of any parades going down the street, and just watch people come into the parks and enjoy some pretty tasty, relatively reasonably priced food. For the moment, they don't have any mutant-looking blue donuts or anything. It's safe to go in and get some food there. Why not?
Unfortunately, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not an IP from Disney. Otherwise, they could do mutants.
That's true. They could get some
green
synergy
donuts
there. Absolutely.
And I think that brings us to the end of this show. Thank you for writing in, everybody. If you feel like you have a question that needs answering, or something, you've got a trip coming up, you can, of course, always contact us via email. You can contact us on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. So you can also leave a comment there. There's a lot of our listeners and readers who will also reply if you have any queries. Sometimes before we do, because we might be busy, but we always try to answer everybody as well. Beth, we're coming up to our 200th episode. Do we have any special plans?
Yes, we do. Something very big, something very secret. It's so secret, even you don't know about it yet, Mark. But all
I'm in the dark
be revealed
here.
soon. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, so it's only 3 episodes to go until then. So keep listening, and we may or may not reveal what we're going to do for the 200th episode.
It's going to be amazing.
Bob Iger, if you're listening, do an interview. Yes, no. Anyway, it's not going to be Bob Iger. Just please don't hold us on that. No, it's not going to be. And I wish everybody a nice summer. We will be back in 2 weeks, hopefully. And unless there's something huge that develops in the meantime, and we do an interim episode, but I think that's going to be 2 weeks from now. So, who's going to do the outro? You did the intro, so I have to do the outro, don't I?
Yes, go for it.
All right, let's bring up the outro music. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the outro music. Here we go. There it is.
Nice.
Thank you for listening to the D2DLP podcast. You may subscribe to the show on all podcatchers, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Finecaster. If you have a moment, please rate and review the show, as it helps new listeners find and enjoy us. You can also follow our posts and get involved on our Instagram and Facebook. You can now also view our podcasts on YouTube. Send any private requests, questions, or trip reviews to dlp@dedicatedtodlp.com, and check out our website www.dedicatedtodlp.com. From Beth, me, and Porg, it's thank you, and see you next time.